Plaintiff KIANDRA Porter met the defendant at work, and she became pregnant with his baby, despite the fact that they were both seeing other people. KIANDRA claims she and the defendant tried dating, but they cannot get along, and she's suing because she claims he bleached her clothes. Defendant TREVON Jeffries says while dating KIANDRA, she became abusive, and she even assaulted him with a cell phone. TREVON's countersuing for stolen property.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
Okay, Your Honor, I met TREVON in 2014, and we used to work together. A couple years went by, and we started hanging out outside of work. We ended up having a child together in 2016. At the time, he had another girlfriend, and I had another boyfriend, but we still decided to co-parent and get along. The entire pregnancy was drama-free, and then in about 8 months, he decided he wanted to be a family man. So that started causing problems within my relationship and his as well.
What do you mean by decided to be a family man?
He decided that he wanted to, his exact words, he wanted to wake up next to my daughter every morning. He didn't want another man in her life.
Mm-hmm. And what was wrong with that?
It wasn't really a problem, but he started causing problems within my relationship with my boyfriend at the time.
He didn't know?
He knew.
Wow.
He knew I had a
boyfriend. What further problems could there be other than...
It's the biggest one.
Yeah, you got pregnant by another man while we go together. It can get worse?
No, Your Honor.
Go ahead, ma'am. All right.
It's a little
more. So he decided he wanted to be a part of the child's life, and then what?
We decided we wanted to go that route. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
So I broke up with my boyfriend, and I guess his relationship ended as well. Good. And we got together. And since then, our daughter was born October 24th in 2016. And since then, we just been having issues on and off ever since then, and we cannot get along.
Because you all never really dated?
Correct.
Okay. You only really got along those 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes.
Got along great.
Yeah.
Or 2 hours. I don't know. I don't know.
2
hour,
minutes.
2, I don't know. 40 minutes, 30, 20, I don't know. That's when you got along for the most.
We got along perfect.
So you really didn't know each other.
Absolutely.
That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that didn't work. What type of obstacles did you all face as a couple?
A lot of verbal abuse, back and forth on both ends. Mm-hmm. A lot of just not knowing each other and trying to figure it out and wanting to. Did
you all break up? Obviously, probably. And when, if so?
We've been kind of on and off. It wasn't he's my child's father, so.
Okay. He's my child's father, so. You didn't finish that, so. So that means he can come in and out?
So we keep it cordial when we need to.
Cordial? You looking the other way. Y'all still together. Ain't nobody playing with you. All right, that's y'all personal business. I want to know about the baby. How's that going?
Oh, she's great. She's wonderful. She's healthy.
How old? 3?
2. She'll be 3 in next month.
Okay. All right. And sir, you give me some background on this case and your relationship.
To kind of recap on what she was saying, we met and she had a boyfriend, and the second time she came to visit me, we had sex, and shortly after she told me she was pregnant. And from my understanding, is how you so sure it's my child and you got a man at home, should have. And she told me he was incarcerated, he was locked up, and the child is mine. She hasn't been with anyone else. So I stepped up to the plate. You know, I spent well over $500 on clothes for my child and my staff.
When?
She was about 3 months.
Day one or something?
Nah, she was about 3 months pregnant. We went to get the ultrasound, and the dates kind of added up as far as.
So you bought the clothes before the child arrived?
Yes, yes.
You're too anxious. Go ahead.
I was anxious, you know, but
you requested to be part of the child's life immediately, or at least within months?
Definitely immediately.
Once you kind of figured out what might be yours.
She was playing both sides, her boyfriend and me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't on the lease. I didn't have a door key. Just trying to do the right thing. So after a while, you know, she gets abusive and things when she don't get away. Like, I posted a picture, pretty much what brings us here is I posted a picture on the internet around July 19th, July 20th, me and my daughter, and I captioned it twins. Another female commented on the picture and said, "You can tell she's your daughter, y'all twins." And another female responded, "Thank you," as if she could have been the mother, or I don't know. So I wake up getting hit upside my head with the cell phone, hit me upside my head with my own cell phone and things. And so what happened?
Did you ever physically attack her?
Never. I don't hit women. I'm trying to leave. I called an Uber to leave. The deal was we went to Malibu Jack so my daughter can have fun, and we went to the movies. And then it was late, so I stayed the night over her house. Before she goes to work, she'll give me a ride back to my car.
We're going to get into that. Those are the details of the case. All right, and hope you don't make a fool out of me, but so far you sound like a very step up to the plate, responsible father. Buying clothes before the baby came. Ask her, by her own admission, could you be a part of the child's life everlasting, and waking up every morning with your child, and you never hit her? You say you never hit a woman, and she was hitting you, you say. All those are good traits that a real man would have. Let me hear from you on the incidents here that you're suing about, the damage.
First and foremost, what he's saying never happened. That's completely not what happened.
Didn't hit him with a phone?
Absolutely not. So on July 20th, we actually met up at his grandmother's house. We got off of work at the same time.
This is which year? July 20th of?
2019.
And then what?
We both kind of got off work around the same time, so we met up at his grandmother's house to pick up the child. He asked me if he could take London out for a play date, and I said sure. Then he asked London if it's okay if mommy goes. Again, not a problem. So we've got both vehicles at his grandmother's house. We decided to take mine. So we go to like a little arcade across town and the movie theater. So on the way back from the movies, it's late at night, and I'm like, you know, you want to go to your grandmother's house and get your car? He's like, nah, I'll just get in the morning. So he stays that night. The next morning, I had to be at work at 12 o'clock. So I nudge him around 10 a.m. I'm like, hey, you know, if you want me to take you across town to the West End, we need to get up and get our day started. He proceeds to lay in the bed. So I proceed to lay in the bed. So 11:15, 11:30 rolls around, and I get up and I'm getting ready for work. He wants to get ready to go home to his car with my daughter. So I'm like, you know, it's a little late for that. I'm not going to be able to go to the West End and make it back to the South End for work on time. So he's like, well, you're going to take us. Very controlling. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So he takes my car keys. He goes outside like he's going to leave me at the house with my car, my daughter. So I pick up the phone and I call the police department, and I'm like, can you guys patrol this neighborhood? Because we might have a problem. As I get on the phone with the police, he gets intimidated. So he gives me my keys back. Before law enforcement arrives, I get in my car and I make it to work. When I get home from work, I come home to my kitchen counter open with my cleaning supplies. So I'm like, that's odd. I keep everything intact, closed up. So I go into the bedroom and I see my drawers empty. They're open. So I'm like, this man. So I walk outside on my back porch, and my entire wardrobe, clothes, shoes, jewelry, makeup, everything is laid out on my back porch with bleach all over them. As I go back into the house, I call the police department, and I stumble past my daughter's room, and I see a little disruptance in there. So I go into my daughter's room, and everything that she owns is out of her room. Her clothes, her shoes, her jewelry, miscellaneous items, it's completely wiped out. So I call the police, and they come out and they take the report. As they take the report, I head over on his side of town to go pick my daughter up. As I pull up to his house, there was a police officer that I had called to meet me there. So I'm like, you know, I just want to get my daughter. He has my car keys as well, because at the time he was driving my other vehicle. So the police goes up and talks to him, and he hands the police a piece of paper. So I'm just sitting back watching. The police approaches me, and she's like, well, as of right now, you're not supposed to be 500 feet within his home. He filed an EPO, emergency protective order, against me. He wrote this bogus statement, a bunch of lies, saying what he just stated now, that I put my hands on him.
You have the statement, anyone?
Yes, I think I do. If not, he does.
He had a PPO put out on you.
Yes, here it is.
And what has happened since that time?
So for the EPO, I had to wait 10 days before I could see my child or him. I couldn't be in the area. He put my child on the EPO. Oh. He filed an EPO against me, and I couldn't be around. So
Is that true?
She was doing everything she did that morning. She was trying to take my phone from my daughter because I was calling an Uber. What actually happened was she was demanding, instead of taking me to my car, she woke up late and said, nah, just stay here. When I get off of work, I'll take you to your car, which would be 8 or 10 hours from now. No, you're not gonna make me sit in this house for 8 or 10 hours because you woke up late. So I'm gonna go ahead and call an Uber. And then that's when the fight, and then she was already beating me upside my head, waking me up out of my sleep. But trying to get away from her, you know, I sent my daughter in her room with my phone to watch Elmo on YouTube.
I'm not seeing a narrative on this police report. Is there something that has a narrative, describes what you say happened and her response? And secondly, I'm looking for something, ma'am, about the child, because that's a very important judgment for a prosecutor to do. Tell a mother she can't even see her own child because of a domestic dispute with the child's father. That's highly unlikely, and it would typically only be given if the prosecutor felt that you were a threat to that child. So if you're telling me they told you to stay away from your own daughter by way of restraining order, they thought you would be dangerous to your own daughter. I'm hoping you don't find it, and maybe you're confused.
No, Your Honor. They did tell me that I could not be within 500 feet.
Let's see it.
Okay.
This is a copy of it after it was granted. That's the most.
And does it mention your daughter?
Yes, sir. It definitely does. Because they said that her snatching the phone from her and doing all of that in front of her is like traumatizing to a child. And
they're the ones that determine it. He can't determine whether to get a restraining order against your child. They have to, ma'am.
Absolutely.
That's terrible.
Well, they did. They gave us a 10-day window for the court date. So within that 10 days, I couldn't be around.
I understand they do that. That's exactly what happens. You have an emergency petition, and then you have a date. But the emergency petition is person-specific, and it's based on the person who feels they're in danger.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he felt in danger, and he felt the child was in danger, and so did the authorities who granted the temporary restraining order. So what happened at the actual hearing, the PPO hearing?
So, Your Honor, we get to court, and he has an attorney for his EPO hearing. So that just goes to show you there that the entire statement was just bogus.
Prosecutor believed it. That's why they issued the order, but go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, if you go to the courthouse and you say that Susie...
Please don't teach me the law.
Okay. Absolutely.
I was a sitting judge for 5 years.
Absolutely, but you seem like
and
you're
you just can't go up. I just can't go up to the court and say, I think Doyle is going to attack me, so get it. No, that's not how it goes. You have to have a preponderance of evidence, ma'am. Now you're going to tell me that they did that because anybody can walk up and say anything and get a PPO. Not true.
Your Honor, that's absolutely true. In Louisville, Kentucky.
Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day. You talk to the judge like that. Contempt. Yours is granted, sir. She's dismissed for contempt.
Thank you, Your Honor.